Welcome back to the podcast and to the latest instalment of our near weekly series Loan Watch, a series taking a look at the Chelsea youngsters on loan across the globe for the 24-25 season. And we are at that stage of the campaign. We are now starting to look at whether these loan moves have been successful or not. There is already increased talk around a few of the players: Kepa Arrizabalaga, João Felix, Axel Disasi. Will their loan moves be made permanent come the end of the season? You got to let us know your thoughts in the comments. As always, make sure to like and subscribe to the channel if you're not already, but let's get straight into it. And you know we like to start on a positive, and you know we like to start at Strasbourg. Andre Santos and Djordje Petrovic, the two high flyers of this loan table, of these players on loan at the moment. Andre Santos outscoring every single player in terms of his statistics, outdoing every single central midfielder, not just under 21, not just in the youth team, every single central midfielder in Europe's top 5 leagues. Andre Santos reigns supreme, tops the charts, 8 goals. He scored another one since we did the last episode, and it was a fantastic finish as well. I think this was probably the pick of the bunch. I'll put it up in the corner because it was that goddamn good. I'm starting to think that there's nothing this guy can't do from centre midfield, and when I think of a centre midfield three of Enzo Fernandez, Andre Santos and Moises Caicedo, I start to get a little bit tingly, man. I start to get the same feelings that I got when I was thinking about Lavia, Enzo and Caicedo earlier this season. But given that Lavia was part of the team that got drubbed by Chelsea under-21s 3-0 in midweek, which we're hearing about today, and I will be commenting on the Instagram, yeah, I don't really know if that's a reliable. I feel like Santos has overtaken him. I don't, as much as I rate Lavia, and I think he's a superb player, and I will double down and say pound for pound, out of those three midfielders, Caicedo, Enzo, Lavia, I think Lavia is the best value for money in terms of the money we spent and the player that we're getting in return. I think he's an absolutely sublime player, but even though he's been back in training in the last couple of weeks and made a couple of little substitute appearances, little cameos, he's not holding down an extended run of, not even form, of being fit. You know, when he plays, he's fantastic, but he just don't play. And, you know, it's got to the point where I'm not investing as much stock in him as I did at the start of the season, because I know we've got players like Andre Santos, Leslie Ugo-Chukwu, dare I say it, Matisa Mugu, you know, young centre midfielders, Dario Asugo coming in next season. You know, there's plenty of competition for these roles. And if players don't fix up, if players don't start playing to the best of their ability ASAP, they're going to get left behind. And unfortunately, that's the nature of the game, the nature of the business, the nature of football at the top level. So as much as it will be extremely, not just upsetting, devastating to see Romeo Lavia not reach his potential at Chelsea, you know, when you've got players like Andre Santos coming through, I ain't holding my breath, because this guy is stopping for no one. When he comes into the team next season, I'm not going to sit there and say Lavia over Santos because of sentimentality. Don't work like that. Santos has outperformed every single centre midfielder in Europe's top 5 leagues this season. He has had the best loan campaign I think I have ever seen. I mean, there are players that have gone out on loan and scored more goals, you know, been extremely popular with the fan, but I don't think anybody has developed as much in terms of, both his development as a player, as an individual, the attributes that he's added to his game. Andre Santos, far and away for me, the best loan move I think I've ever seen from Chelsea. But another one that actually, I mean, I've just said that and doubled down on it. Djordje Petrovic is closing in. 5 clean sheets in a row for Strasbourg, which I think is a club record. He did concede in the last game, but 5 clean sheets against Montpellier, Lyon, Brest, Auxerre, and then Nantes. He's found his form. He's found his rhythm. I've said so many times this season, so many times throughout these Loan Watch episodes, this is my guy. This is my keeper. And I just doubt whether Chelsea, the hierarchy, the higher uppers at Chelsea will be able to eat humble pie, will be able to sit there and say, we made a mistake. Because they can sit here and say, oh, in hindsight, it was a great move. He got development he never would have got. He's been amazing. How good has that been for his career? That's not the reason they loaned out Djordje Petrovic. They loaned him out because they didn't think he was as good as Jorgensen or Sanchez. And he has proven that he is twice the goalkeeper I was going to say of either of them, of both of them combined. I'm sorry, if Robert Sanchez is conceding 3 goals, and this is no disrespect on Donnell McNeely and Chizzy Ezenwata, if Robert Sanchez is conceding 3 goals against the under-21s in a training match, rip up his contract. Why are we still employing this guy? Jorgensen, I kind of get a little bit younger, a little bit more potential, a little bit more room to grow. Let's get rid of that. This is going to... Ready? Missed it. Get rid of Jorgensen on loan next season. I think Penders and Petrovic, the 2 Ps, push them. Push the Ps, bro. It's time to push the P. It is time to get Robert Sanchez out of the club for good. Don't sell him in the summer. Rip up his contract. Can't be arsed with a saga. Can't be arsed with the fact that we might have him sitting miserable in Cobham. Get him gone. Jorgensen, I'm 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. If he stayed as a backup to Petrovic, I wouldn't be mad, and Penders went on loan. But similarly, if Penders stayed as a backup and Jorgensen went on loan to get a little bit more first-team experience, again, I wouldn't be mad. I think Jorgensen, just switch him with Petrovic next season. Give Jorgensen to Strasbourg and take Petrovic back. But Petrovic, without doubt, is my number 1 goalkeeper. Anybody who knows me, has watched my content for a while, has known how I feel about this guy. The fact that he is adding... I saw a video the other day talking about him baiting the press. And I'm sitting here and thinking, we haven't even got a goalkeeper that's capable with the ball at his feet, let alone someone that can start thinking about how to bait the opposition and how to... look, I think he's more tactically astute than Robert Sanchez, Philip Jorgensen. I think he's a better goalkeeper all round. His shot stopping is now up there with the other guys, but positioning, footwork... distribution, I think Petrovic is clear. And please, I'm praying, Winston Lee, Stewart, Bowley, Clearlake, Egbali, just one of you watch this video, one of you watch my video, please, and bring this brother back. Push the P in terms of the goalkeepers. So speaking about goalkeepers, Kepa Arrizabalaga, we mentioned briefly earlier, one of a few players on loan currently that could, most likely will be leaving the club on a permanent basis this summer. He has been... performing fairly well at Bournemouth. Listen, for all the stick I give him, for all the reasons I hate him, he's been doing all right, performing very, very well. I mean, I will always say his shot stopping has never been in doubt for me. I think he's always been a great shot stopping keeper. I'd liken him very, very similar to De Gea. Fantastic reflex keeper, great shot stopping ability, but he's just a little bit clueless. He's just a little bit of a mong. And I do feel like... he hasn't done it. He definitely hasn't done enough at Bournemouth. I'm seeing a couple of Chelsea fans saying, bring him back. Listen, he might be slightly better than Sanchez. I don't think he's better than Jorgensen. He's definitely not better than Petrovic. And even if he was, my mind's set up. He can't unargue with Sarri. He can't unlose us that cup final against Liverpool. So, you know what? Kepa is as good as gone for me. And if Bournemouth want to make that loan move permanent, fantastic. Prem means we can charge a little bit more money. Obviously, if they want him, we're holding a few more of the cards. And I'm also seeing today, I don't know how true it is, but apparently Real Madrid have reignited their interest, potentially interested in bringing him back to the Bernabeu. I'd be interested if they do, because they didn't even use him when he was there. They decided to use Lunin instead. However, if it drums up a little bit of competition, drums up a little bit of interest, inflates that price a little bit, listen, who am I to say no? Axel Disasi, another one I think who will be on the way out. I think it's great to see him getting football in the Champions League. I think he looks fairly solid in that back four. I think Aston Villa are a great team. I really, really like Aston Villa. I think they're enjoyable. They play fantastic football. They've got a good set of lads as well. They're not like Arsenal, who, do a lot of areas, a lot of aspects of the game very well, but they're just incredibly unlikable. The way in which they go about things, the ego of their players, the ego of their fan base. You never get that from Aston Villa. And this is a club that's won a European competition, that's won the Champions League back in the day. Aston Villa, I think I think they were the blueprint for recruitment in January. They exactly what Chelsea should have done. Players with longevity. Rashford, the 3 signings they made, which were incredible business. Can't even put it into words. Disasi, Rashford, Asensio. Marco Asensio, he was getting Ballon d'Or shouts 2 years ago. Rashford, England's top forward in the Euro 2020. Axel Disasi, £40 million Monaco player. All of these players are players with experience at the top level, experience in European competitions, experience being more senior members of their squad, bar maybe Asensio. I think he, a little bit more senior at PSG, but I don't think you can say. Disasi and Rashford, more leaders. But they've bought experienced players with the perfect balance of youth and longevity. Experience and longevity. They've got games under their belt, experiences in European, on European stages under their belt, and then they've got 5-10 years to still improve. Most of these players haven't even hit their prime yet. As an adult male, you don't hit your prime until 25, 26, 27. A lot of these players are just coming into it. We see so many players breaking through at 16, 17 now. I think we forget that your peak isn't really until your mid-20s, late 20s for a lot of players. And that's how it should be. And I do feel like, Axel Disasi is perfectly placed in this Aston Villa squad. And I just think it's the right move for everybody to make that permanent in the summer. He gets Champions League football. He's happy and he gets game time. Chelsea get a little bit of recoup a little bit of the fee that we spent on him, the 40 mil that we spent from Monaco, and he's out of the firing line of our fan base who absolutely hate him. Look, I think he's been disrespected at the club, but I don't think he's got a chance to be one of the starters. He's been given too many opportunities and not grasped them to kind of be a fixture in Enzo Maresca's team. And obviously, if he's happy to let him go out on loan, he ain't got no plans for this guy. So, yeah, Disasi, one that I hope gets a permanent move in summer. Similarly, Ben Chilwell, got a couple of games now for Crystal Palace. He's not starting, which is absolutely nuts to think that Ben Chilwell is not Crystal Palace's starting left back. I told you he was a bum. I told you he was gone. I told you he was washed. Doesn't even start for Crystal Palace's, but he's getting a few more games. Fingers crossed he gets a move there because, yeah, again, this is that there is a transfer. We've got to cut our losses. We've just got to recoup as much as humanly possible to minimise the loss that we've made on that player. And again, with João Felix, I feel like AC Milan fans aren't as in love with João Felix as a lot of Chelsea fans were. He said all the right things when he joined, but he's not done particularly well. I think he scored 1 or 2 goals fairly early on and looked like he's very, very good, but he struggled to kind of make an impact. And I do question whether that move will be made permanent. I think Chelsea would have to make a big loss on him if we were to sell him this summer. And obviously, again, we hold the cards in terms of 6-7 years on the contract. We can keep him as a squad player for next year. And I do think he wouldn't be a bad asset to have when you think of, Nkunku will go in the summer. I would have thought a couple of wingers, Noni Madueke, maybe Sancho, Mudryk, will he come back? There's going to be a lot of movement in those front positions for Chelsea. So I think João Felix to have as a backup rotation option is definitely not a complaint for me. I just hope that he can do a little bit more while he's on loan at AC Milan than he has done already. Broja as well. Obviously saw Broja come back into the fold after another long-term injury for Albania against England last Friday. Whether he continues to play for Everton, if I was David Moyes, I wouldn't touch him. You got Beto in, the scoring form of his life. You got Dominic Calvert-Lewin as a backup. What do you need Broja for? I mean, Broja's a fantastic player, don't get me wrong. I think he's a great physical presence, great striker. He's got so many fantastic attributes. Technically, I think his intelligence in terms of his positional awareness, very, very clever, very smart, makes the right runs, but he just can't hold down a run of form, a run of games. It just hasn't worked for him at Everton, hasn't worked for him in general in the last 2 seasons. So again, a player that I hope still can fulfill his potential. I just think his race is run at Chelsea. It's time to get him gone and get him off the books in the summer. It will be a shame because he's an academy graduate and always had high hopes for him, always rated him extremely highly. But if at this point we're holding him back, these loan moves, just constantly being loaned, not knowing when you're playing next season, if it's holding him back, let him go, man. Let him go. But moving on to the Championship, Teddy Sharman-Lowe has had a very, very successful last couple of months. I think he went to Doncaster Rovers and he's done quite well there, putting some great man of the match performances, some great I think he's saved a couple of penalties as well. Some great performances from what I've seen. I haven't watched him for 90 minutes, but he got called up to the England under-21s, as far as I'm aware. I think it was the under-21s. But yeah, you know, for another Chelsea youth player to be called up to the England national team, it's fantastic. And I have had a fucking ball watching these under-16s, under-17s. Just incredible amount of talent for Chelsea playing in the England youth ranks at the moment. And you look at this England team, and I know we're kind of blurring the lines between loan and international here, so bear with me. But you look at that England team, and you look at players like Cole Palmer, who are, you know, steadfast. He is going to be in Thomas Tuchel's starting team. I'd like to think Levi Cole has a part to play in there. Reece James, on his day, 100% the best right back, not in England, in the world, so he 100% starts. I think Chelsea have got a good presence. I've always had a good presence in the England national team. But to see the quality coming through the youth ranks and to see the level at which they're playing, I think it translates to Chelsea development squads as well. Like, we've got players like Landon Emanalo playing 3-4 age groups up. Jose Grimoire. Who was the other one? Nicole Madi Yazialai. I've got that name wrong. It's 70% right, but I can't remember what his name is. But the point is, Chelsea have players that are 14, 15, 16 years old playing 3, 4, 5 age groups above them. And, you know, a few of the Chelsea players involved for the England youth setup, Tariq Djordje, Keanu Dyer, Josh Achimpong, who got an assist. I think he was captain. Who else you got? You got Mayuka, Shin Mayuka, who's obviously his little brother's doing, tearing it up as well. And Harrison Murray-Campbell. You got so many good Chelsea players, I think, in the under-21 squad. And then you look at the under-18s, under-17s, under-16s, the amount of talent that we have ready to come through, but that is already ready to play at under-21 level. Yeah, I think this Chelsea side, look, everyone is doom and gloom when it comes to Chelsea and Clearlake and the plan, the Bowleys, a nut job, whatever it is that you're mad at. Just take a look at some of the talent that we've signed in Quenda, Paez, Esteval Willian, Dario Asugo, and Sorminio. Some of those players, and then look at the players coming through the youth ranks. Those three that I've just named, who are going to be the next three up: Tariq Djordje, Josh Achimpong, and Shin Mayuka. Unbelievable talents that could go head to head with a lot of the best international prospects in similar age groups. I think we need to double down on the fact that Cobham is the greatest talent production factory on earth. 100% the best academy in planet football. And I think we just need to embrace it. There's obviously this report that's coming out saying Enzo Maresca's fuming as the under-21s beat the senior team. Look, obviously it wouldn't have been the senior team called up to internationals. It's the likes of Robert Sanchez and Kunku, Lavia, Malo Gusto, who's fallen off a cliff somehow this season. But I'm looking at that as more of a testament to the youth. 2 goals for Donnell McNeely, 1 goal for Chizzy Ezenwata. These are quality players that I'm telling you would be able to do it at senior level. Maybe not in the Prem just yet. Maybe Championship, League 1, League 2 is more their level, you know, until they've grown a little bit more physically into the game, until they've kind of developed a little bit more as players and men. But yeah, I think the talent in these Chelsea youth ranks is more than enough. You know, you look at Chelsea potentially having another fire sale this summer and getting rid of 7-8 players. I fully expect us to go out and spend again. We don't need to. We can 100% promote from within, promote these youth players up to the senior team, and it will have a better long-term benefit. Mix in these players with these 17-year-old wonder kids that are touted for Ballon d'Ors. Think about what that will do for these players going into a dressing room, and instead of sitting with all your boys that you've been playing football with since 4 or 5 years old and you know their quality and you enjoy playing with them, whatever. Imagine you go from that dressing room and you're now sitting next to Kendry Paez, Esteval Willian, man that are trying to win the Ballon d'Or at 16, 17 years old. Your game goes up, your level goes up, attitude goes up, mental goes up. I've always said you play better against better opposition. You play better with other people around you. 100% makes your level increase. And I think this is a benefit for the youth team. I think, again, it's a fine balance. We've got to make sure that we do manage it correctly. And obviously, I don't expect us to do it with 100% success. But looking at these players on loan to be integrated back into the squad next season, looking at a lot of the youth players that will get a chance in the first team before they go out on loan, you know, I fully expect Actually, I said it. I don't expect Djordje to go out on loan next season, actually. I think he'll probably stay, but I fully expect a few players. I think Shim might go out on loan. I think, I don't know if Josh will. I feel like earlier in the season, I felt like he might, to kind of give him that Alfie Gilchrist experience down at Sheffield. You know, he's having a fantastic season in the Championship and undoubtedly will be ready for the Prem next year. I don't know. It's whether Maresca obviously trusts him and likes him. Achimpong, fantastic international break for him. Like I said, I think he got a great assist in the first game. I'm intrigued to see how these situations develop. As I kind of mentioned earlier in the video, we're at the tail end of the season. We're at the point where we are looking at whether these loan moves are successes or not, whether these players should be integrated back into the squad, or whether we should just cut our losses and sell them. And I think when you look at the pool of talent that Chelsea have available to them, I'm not worried about losing 20 mil on a Kepa, on a Ben Chilwell, on a Disasi, on a Felix. Fuck it. It is what it is. We as Chelsea fans act like Abramovich never made a bad transfer, never made a bad signing. Who remembers Yuri Zirkov, bruv? I could go back to Andrei Shevchenko, Fernando Torres, world record transfer fees that ended diabolically for us. Look, Chelsea have made some bad transfers in the past, and I don't want to sit here and say that it's the nature of, we can't change, but there will be mistakes. Unfortunately, we're going to have to cut our losses. The beauty of Chelsea is there is always going to be a rotating door of talent coming up from Cobham and from players, that weren't preferred by the previous manager. My point is, we're calm. We're not in as much danger as a lot of people, particularly Chelsea fans, seem to think we are. So I know this was a little bit of a strange loan watch. Not quite, the loan watch that you're used to, not quite the same format. Apologies as well for the inconsistency. It's just been a bit mad at work and getting as much content out as possible. But fingers crossed, I should be able to bring this back as my weekly feature. We will be doing, obviously, we might do a live stream this weekend. You will be getting a Chopping It Up with Charms later tonight as well. 2 videos today. Big up the Two Blues for all the work we do for you. But yeah, make sure to follow at Two Blues Podcast on the Instagram, on the TikTok to stay up to date with all of our content. Next Thursday will be Chelsea versus Tottenham. We'll do a live match preview. We'll also do a live match reaction. And yeah, let us know what else you want to see. Might do a little international roundup. We'll see how it goes next week. Obviously, FA Cup this weekend. But yeah, appreciate everybody that continues to subscribe and support. Big up yourselves. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. And thank you once again for tuning in to the podcast. We out at the Chels.